We've got some exciting new features that we've added into our framework. Been quite busy, and what I want to show you is what we have added and how some of that works. The one thing that we've done is everything that pertains to the framework is now in this framework folder. And we've got a folder here for browse screens, and we've got the internal windows, which is what we've had before. But this is what we've added. We now can do browse screens based on regular windows. So for those who don't use internal windows with the code of change source, you can now create just a window. And I'll show you those. And we have a section here for maintenance screens because we plan on adding a few more. And then we have a section here for examples, and it's dedicated just to the examples. And as you can see, it would be examples for internal windows and examples for windows, and then we have the dashboard that actually runs those. So here's the listing of our internal windows, our basic ones that we've had before. But this is what we've also done. Besides adding support for just Windows, we've got Windows, internal windows, and Windows for parent-child relationships. And let me open this up for Windows so you'll see that we have the same thing. And then in our examples, we have an example for each one of those types. So let's get to this and let's run it, and I'll show you what we've got. So I'll log in as me, and what we've done is we've got the separate tab for examples to keep it separate. So let's go back and look at internal windows. And so this is the internal window that you've been used to, that we've been using all along. And again, this is without any coding. This is just filling in a few variables for this CRUD control template down here, and that's it. So let's select my company, returns those, and you've got the record that you want. You modify it, brings up the maintenance screen, and again, this is all without any coding. What we've also done then is we go back to internal windows. Now we'll look at the same type of thing. Here we have the company users. So now it actually is a parent-child relationship. So again, I'll select Glenn for the company. You'll notice that it has the records corresponding to that company. And again, this is without any additional coding. What you've done is in the previous, you've gone ahead and you've filled in variables or assigned values to the variables for this CRUD control template. Now to make this work, all you have to do is select this window, do a file save as we've done before, and then just initialize the variables for these CRUD control templates. So that's kind of exciting, lets you have parent-child relationships without having to do any coding. And to show you now what's really new with this is we'll pick the same type of window. So now this is a free-floating window. It's the same as the internal window, right? Got the same controls. So let's go ahead and do Glenn's company again. And then we've got our filtering here that we can do if we want. The difference between this and the internal window is we did not have this drop down in the internal window. We've got more real estate to work with here, so I just drop it down. And again, let's go and look for a record in Arizona, and we shouldn't find any for Glenn. And let's go ahead and pick Alan's company, see if we find any. Oh, and lo and behold, we do. So you can see how dynamic this filtering is. And if I go back and just do a clear, it returns all the records. So that's what's new in the framework, is parent-child relationships, and then also being able to have windows as opposed to just internal windows. So at this point you may be wondering, how do you actually code for that parent-child relationship? Well, code's a strong word because we don't have to do any coding. But if we go to examples, and let's look at the one for the windows. Let's look at the, move this over here. Let's look at the parent-child QBE table. So this is the one that we just ran. And as usual, all the coding that we need to be concerned about is done here in the do housekeeping. And so this is what we had filled in before on our previous internal windows, right? Or the ones that didn't have a parent-child relationship. And quickly, we just fill in what the name of the database table is, the name of the primary key in the database table. These next two lines are the table control that we're using. And then we actually have just default values of what data do we want excuse me, to return back to us. That's basically all that you have to set in here, and that's for the parent-child. That's for the parent of the parent-child. Now we come down here and we fill out the same thing, but this is just for the child table. And the coding's the same, or the variables are the same. We fill in the database table, the primary key, yada, yada, yada. The only difference here is we actually have to put in and tell it that it is a CRUD, for the CRUD, that it is a child table. Well, when you do your file save as, remember, then all this is copied across. This is already set to true. All you have to do is set this and this. You can leave these two to the same, and these two get changed. That's it. So hopefully you've seen that we've got quite a bit more, and it's very exciting using this framework. We use it every day in our production applications or some form of this. And happy computing.